Good morning. This is Ms. Billerbeck, and we're going to talk about rounding. So 2.7, rounding numbers to decimal places. All right, so if we remember 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. So let's round 1573 or 1573 to the nearest integer. So the integer would be this. Well, that's simple. It's just 1573. Okay, now to the nearest 10. Well, this is the 10. So the one next to it is 4 or less. So we let it rest. So the 7 does not go up. So the nearest 10 would be 1570. We look at the nearest 100, we have a 7 next to it. So this is 5 or more, raise the score. So this 5 goes up. So the nearest 100 would be 1600. Now if we write the nearest 1000, it's 5 or more, raise the score. So this 1 goes up to 2000. So let's look at the population of California when it was 37,253,956. So what is it to the nearest 1,000? Well, here's the 1,000 place. So there's a 9 right next to it to its right. So that means it's 5 or more, raise the score. So the nearest 1,000 would be 37,254,000. Okay, 10,000. Okay, here we have a 5. So this is a 3. So it's 4 or less, let it rest. So we have 37,250,000. Then we have 100,000. So this is in the 100,000s position. There's a 5 next to it. So 5 or more, raise the score. So the 2 goes up. So we'd have 37 million, and that would be 300,000. Now if we do the nearest million, so the 7's in the million spot. So there's a 2 next to it. So it's 4 or less, let it rest. So the 7 stays the same. So there's 37 million. So we get some very different numbers depending on how we round. Well, let's look at decimals now. So if we notice the difference between this one, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, but this one we have THs. Okay, once we have THs, we're in the decimal. These are decimals. Okay, so we've got to watch out for those THs. So if we round to the nearest 10th, let me fix this so it's nice and pretty again. Okay, so we round to the nearest 10th. So here's our 10th position. We have 4 here to the right of it. So it's 4 or less, let it rest. So the nearest 10th is 9.0. So the nearest 10,000ths, well, that's the 10th, 100th, thousandths, 10,000ths. Oh, we don't know. It's already rounded. So it was rounded for us. So that's the nearest 10,000th. Okay, how about hundreds? So this is tens, hundreds. Okay, we have a 7 next to it. So that's 5 or more, raise the score. So we have 9.0, and that would be 5. Okay, then if we round to the nearest thousandth, that's the 7 position. It's a 6, so it's 5 or more, raise the score. So that 7 goes up. So we have 9.0. 0.48. So that would be the nearest thousandths. So now let's evaluate 3 and 7/11ths times negative 1 and 9/20ths. So first we have to make this an improper fraction. So we multiply 3 times 11 is 33, plus 7 is 40. So we have 40 over 11 times, and then 1 times 20 is 20, plus 9 is 29. So negative 29 over 20. Okay, so we can reduce this now if we see that this has a 20 and that has a 20 in it. In fact, let's do that because these are really big numbers, okay? So we could rewrite this as 2 times 20 times a negative 29 over 11 times 20. When we see that, we have a common factor, so we can reduce this. So now it's just 2 times negative 29. If we do a quick estimate, 2 times 30 is 60, and then subtract 2, we get 58. So this ends up negative 58 over, and that's 11. So it says round to the nearest decimal, so I guess we better figure out what the decimal is. So the top number goes into the house. So we have 58. We're going to remember that it's a negative number. And we're going to put the 11 out here. So there are 5 11s in 58. We drop the 0 down. And the decimals here. We have 2 11s and 30. Subtract. Drop that down. 7 11s in 80. So we get 3, drop it down. Oh, we've got a repeat. So now we're back to 2. Okay, and then we know, since it's repeating, that this is going to be 7. Okay, if you didn't see that, we'll do it. So 22 minus, and we have 8, and we drop another 0 down, and there's 7. Okay, and then we're all back to 30 again. Okay, so this is the same thing as negative 5.27 with a bar over it. Okay, so when it says round to the nearest 10,000ths, well, this is the 10,000ths. So if we expand this out so we can do the rounding. Okay, so the 10,000ths is right here, the 7. So there's a 2 there. So the 2 is a 4 or less letter rest. So we are going to put 5.2727, and that's to the nearest 10,000ths. If we look at the hundreds, well, it's the same thing. Well, close, 5.27. Okay, it would be different if we rounded it to the nearest 10th. Let's add that, 10th. Okay, so it's a 2 and it has a 7 there, so it's 5 or more raised to score. So a 10th would be 5.3. Then we would round up. All right, well, that's it for this lesson. And we have now finished the chapter 2 section. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.